Good night, people. Welcome once again to another edition of Just Reasoning Live, the show where we're here to amplify the voice of the Caribbean community, the Black community, and talk about issues of relevance to us as a people. If you could do me a favor, anybody who is watching this right now, if you can hit that share button on your Facebook feed and share to your page, and let's spread the love, and we can all reason together. All right? So that's my like intro right there. So join us tonight. We have our regulars, and then we have a special guest with everything going on tonight with the Breonna Taylor thing, with the Breonna Taylor exoneration. Black lives do not matter, I guess. So we have Officer Lioness. How you doing, Officer Lioness?
Good night, everybody.
How are things out there in the streets? How is it hard for police out there?
It's always hard for police out there, but we're making it. I'm making it.
Yeah, But so glad to have you join us again. You've been
Thank
on
you.
hiatus now for a while.
I have been.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us. Especially, what?
Yo. 1 more month pandemic now.
What happened in that month?
Man. Definitely, but then at all, me make it through.
Yeah, man. Tex.
Another day,
How
another
things? Joining us live from Dubai again, we have Mr. Special. So, thank you everyone for joining in. Let's not even go there yet. But the Breonna Taylor Black Lives Do Not Matter, I guess. Ruling case. Who that? Is that Des?
No, that was me.
Or is that Tex? All right. So we have a range of topics to talk about tonight. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the in Jamaica, they're having a spike in coronavirus cases, and I emphasize Jamaica, but really this is kind of going on around the world, right? In Jamaica specifically, let me say what the numbers are. So on August 1st, throughout the course of this pandemic, there had been a total of 10 deaths and 883 cases altogether. That's on August 1st. So about 6 weeks later, they have 57 deaths and almost 5,000 cases. So that's concerning. First of all, why do y'all think that is the case? What do you think is the reason? I know none of us are scientists on here. Is the reason behind this big jump? That's a pretty significant jump. Think of it, from February to August, there were 10 deaths and 800 cases. And for it to jump that significantly, what do you think is behind it? Do you think people just tired of living the lockdown life, or what?
Basically,
I think, pick on, go on. Ladies first.
Definitely. It makes sense that people just became more relaxed, and felt like, hey, if this is going to be my life, then I'm going to live it. So I definitely think people are just tired of being inside the house, and whatever happens.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly logical reason. And we can kind of observe that just around here, right? I get it. At some point, you kind of have to live your life, but it's not any less deadly now, and it was dead. So if you look, watch the news, they're talking like all throughout Europe and Asia, things are climbing back up. Because people tired of living a quarantine life. Tech Special, what do you say about that?
Well, part of the reason I think is we don't know enough about the virus itself. I've read recently that the virus is actually mutating. So
heard that tonight. Yeah,
that could be a big part of it. And I think the main part is that said, people just want to live their life. Now, it's not to say that they don't care about the issue in hand, but I've seen plenty of videos and posts, people going to events. When they get to the event, they have on their mask, but as soon as they get in and get comfortable and things like that, there's no mask anywhere. Yeah, it's not going on. And they have the best of intent, and I know it, but you get lax. You have a few drinks, or you're out with your friends and you're laughing and talking. It's uncomfortable. You throw it off. Yeah. And then it spreads like that. But people, I think, what I've seen a lot of people say is, people's rights matter and things like that. But we have to think of it as, I'm looking out. I'm looking out for yourself. I'm looking out for you and myself by wearing this mask, period. Yeah. So we have to keep that mentality and keep it going. But again, new things are going on that we don't know about. We don't know enough about it. We know that it's airborne, but what else? What are they not telling us? Because as we know, they didn't tell us about it when they found out about it. So
and you mentioned something right now, which I heard, a doctor on TV tonight say that, a study recently came out here in Houston, and said that the virus, it's mutating, it's changing. It's like, so, so you could be developing a vaccine for what it is today, but come tomorrow, it might be something completely new and it has no use. So, so let me ask this question. Especially, I'll ask you, how do you think this thing ends? What, there have been these big pandemics in the past. What do you think? When will this? Not when will it end, but how will it end? Is it the vaccine? Is it will just go away? How do you think it will end?
Well,
Dr. Special.
With most pandemics or diseases, usually the infected die out. If you can use what they call herd immunity.
Trump says herd mentality.
but all right, in the past when they had a pandemic like this, what happened is people would stay home, who was infected at home, died at home, and the virus would die with them. In modern days, of course, now people they don't believe so much in that there is a pandemic, so they don't take the precautions. They don't really. Some people are out and they really don't care if they get sick, right? Yeah. And that is the problem. They not just don't care about themselves. They don't care about others. So how we see it, it's going to cost a lot of lives before this goes away, right? But it will eventually go away because they all do. Even if there's mass casualties, they all go away.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really scary thought, right? This thing of herd immunity or herd mentality, as dumbass calls it. I'm watching a show last week, and they're saying basically, without outright saying that's what we're doing, that's what they're doing. They have all these things where the CDC put out these recommendations, and then they change it and what have you. It's like they're trying to get more people out there getting sick, and that's not just opinion. It's a bunch of things that they're actually doing. It kind of leads to that's what they want to happen. That's how they think this thing is going to go away. And they did the numbers. So if you look at the infection rate, basically take the number of positive tests divided by, the number of the total population, and then use that percentage, and then take the death rates, the amount of deaths divided by the number of infected, and come up with a percentage. And according to those percentages, with a population of 330 million people, we're talking about 3 million people will die. If that's what they go with.
The math is right.
If we let this fool come back in office again, and that's what they go with, we're talking about 3 million people dead from this thing. So that's again, I don't know how this thing ends, but that's a very scary proposition. As we sit here right now, it's 200,000 dead, more than 200,000.
So we have some comments from Facebook. So let me read some of them. Leslie says, wasn't the borders reopened for tourists? I mean, that could be a reason.
Jamaica? Yeah. But so here's the thing. Our country like Jamaica, for Jamaica to close its borders it's not practical, right? I mean, because besides tourism itself, I mean, there's so many industries, based off tourism, right? Yeah. So it contributes a lot to the economy. So, it's at the Jamaican, from you listen to the Prime Minister talk and what have you, he said we have to figure out how to live with this. We can't shut everything down. We have to figure out how to, masks and social distancing and whatever, but we can't just close things off, right? I mean, and that's as we said from the beginning of this thing, it's a very tough position to be in for somebody who is running a country, running a government, because people have to survive. Like here in Houston, they have this thing about restaurants versus bars. Like if you're a restaurant, you can open up at a certain capacity, but if you're a bar that don't serve food, you have to shut down completely. And that's been going on. So think if you own a bar in Houston that don't serve food, you don't have a kitchen, you are a bar. I mean, you've been shut down like for months now. Yeah. How many of those bars aren't coming back? So, but again, it's difficult. I'll say that. But any other comments from the Facebook people or any of you people?
Enough. Buxton says foreigners coming in and not adhering to protocols. That could be part of the rules.
Bucky, y'all blame the foreigner then?
The government has been doing the best they can in terms of monitoring them and getting constant updates. And you can get in trouble if you don't give an update, which is very good on our part. I actually never expected us to reach that level of efficiency in doing anything that have to do with tourists, because in the past we've just been very bad at it. But they've been doing their best to keep up with people coming in, where they're staying, and their corona status. So I mean, I think it's helping, and it could have been a lot worse if they didn't step up their game.
Yeah. What were you saying, Tex? Yeah, another one there?
Yeah, we got a couple. Danielle says herd immunity from vaccines and acquired immunity from either catching it or passing it on from the mother. Leslie says we'll take an act of God due to widespread carelessness, but eventually it will happen. Some people will wake up.
An act of God. You say we can't wait upon God? I say so.
Wait upon God to come
Hey, you see that lightning? You see that lightning? Watch.
No, you never said.
Everybody pray for special. Lightning. Boom. Lightning ain't one boop in the head.
Wait on him. We can't wait on him. We have to do something for ourselves, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man.
There more and more dance I keep right now, and that could be one of the greater reasons why we see so many cases.
So y'all blame the sound man then?
Them too. because me here so damn sweet.
Oh gosh.
Without blaming the sound man them special, I think it's just as Des said from the very beginning, people they're tired of being in the house. They're tired of just sit up looking at the wife and husband all day long and can't go to the road, and then people start moving around, start doing a little bit more, and start taking a little risk here and there, and think before you know it, things skyrocket. Anyway, everybody, take your precautions. This thing is serious. 202,000 people here in this country dead. 200,000 families. Who can't even have a proper funeral? Anyway, so it's, this thing is, the powers that be trying to act like nothing going on because they think it's good for their interests. But wise up yourself, and you know that this thing is real, and it's killing people. So take your proper precautions. I guess Black lives do not matter. That's kind of what they've told us time and time and time again. So I don't think many people were shocked at the Breonna Taylor the decision where the Attorney General today, not the Attorney General, District Attorney today came out and said for the 3 cops who went to the wrong house. We talked about this before. Went to the wrong house, kicking in the door. The boyfriend thinks somebody breaking in. He busts off shots as anybody would. And then they loaded up the place with 20 shots, 6 shots, and kill her while she was sleeping. And for that, so literally just sleeping while Black. That's how she got killed. And the district attorney come out and say that, basically none of those officers got charged with anything for killing her. None of them. One of them got charged for shooting recklessly into the neighbor's apartment. But for actually murdering this woman in her sleep, wrong apartment, all that, no charges whatsoever. And I think the charge that the one cop got, like wanton endangerment, I guess him just start firing off into the wrong place. Right. And, I didn't hurt anybody in that other apartment.
You're not allowed to shoot at a suspect without actually have them in line of sight.
But for the one that they murdered, absolutely no charges. So with us having a police officer with us here tonight, I don't have a specific question. Let me get your take on what happened, on the incident itself that led to her murder, or her death, if you don't consider it a murder, or and the decision to not charge anybody with killing her. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, a lot of people don't realize that the laws it's about what's on the book, how it's written, how it's interpreted by judges and all of this. And these things are different from state to state. So what could be posed as illegal here where's that in Kentucky might not be considered illegal there, right? So
it's not illegal to kill people sleeping in Kentucky?
Well, according to the district attorney today, I guess not.
I guess so. All right, go ahead. Sorry to cut you off. Go on.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, it was, because I even had to write a paper on it for school. All of the facts have not been released, right? In my opinion. We keep getting, it was a no-knock warrant, and then there was, no, they did knock, and neighbors heard them knocking and announcing themselves. Well, which one is it? Because that makes a difference.
Yeah.
And then she was not named in the warrant, and now it's, yes, she was named in the warrant. Then it was her boyfriend, who was already arrested earlier that day by the agency, who was the person that they were looking for, was already in custody. And then it came back, no, it wasn't, that had nothing to do with it. So I think before we can make any judgments for ourselves, we need all the facts, and all the facts have not been released to the public.
I got enough facts. She's dead.
But I think that was what the district attorney's job was, to find the facts and then determine from there, the guilty parties.
Yeah.
Right, and I agree with that, but the facts haven't been released to us. Like, what happened? What exactly happened? We don't know.
The beginning and the end of that was when that hush money was taken a couple weeks ago.
The $12 million settlement.
Yeah, that was $12 million. That was bribe money. Now, the facts aren't going to be released because it'll be a shitstorm. Because if those officers are actually charged, then we have to look at the judge that signed the warrant.
Right.
After that, it's basically a trail on down. So they don't want to open that
Heads
up.
will roll. Correct.
Yeah, they don't want to open that up. So that's why, we already basically knew what the outcome was going to be. It's not surprising at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I'm not shocked at the outcome either, but wantonly endangerment, I never heard of that. I don't even know what that is.
I mean, it's like, it's like they have to reach at the bottom of the law book for we can't just do nothing.
The bottom of the barrel, man.
Yeah, so like me, when I on social media, in a group chat with my friends, and when it just came out, all I saw was one officer indicted. I was like, yes, I didn't think there would be anything. But like the more I hear about it, I'm like, this is absolutely nothing. And then I thought at least the wanted endangerment was for shooting her. But then to find out that her name wasn't even mentioned in that indictment. It's for shooting in the neighbor's apartment. I'm like, it's like clear as day that her life did not matter. And here's the thing now. Some people may have thought that since it's a black district attorney, then he would understand the plight, right? But you know what? This district attorney, like I say, all kinfolk ain't skinfolk, right? If you, not the fact that he's a Republican, but the fact that he was a Republican in the midst of this case, where they're looking for an indictment, where these Black Lives Matter protests are going on, and people are looking towards him. And we know, and throughout the Republican National Convention, they're diminishing and minimizing and demonizing, the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And who do they have to come be one of their keynote speakers? The same district attorney. So he is up there speaking at the Republican National Conference. So you think about, so for somebody like him, right? That's the kind of person that is. He has aspirations beyond being a district attorney.
Of course.
Right? I mean, Mitch McConnell was at his wedding, all this stuff. So you can't put your black ass out there and come and charge police. That would be the end of your career. So based on all that, I'm like, nothing going to come off this. But it just, man, it really, really sucks. I mean, I saw this guy on TV earlier. This Jason Johnson. He's a professor at Morgan State University, and he's a regular on MSNBC. And they're interviewing him, and he's like, I really didn't come on here today to, give some passionate speech because I'm tired of doing that. But the more I think about it, I just got more and more pissed off, right? If you just imagine, it's like, we're not safe anywhere. This woman was at home in her bed sleeping. So you can't do that. Ahmaud Arbery, this man was just jogging. Botham Jean up there in Dallas, sitting at home eating ice cream. So it's like we just feel so many threats coming from all these different angles. And, as we've mentioned on here several times, accountability, like there is none. There are no consequences. So the people so many things went wrong here. Yes, we may not know 100% of the facts. I've heard enough facts to kind of, draw my conclusion, which I guess that's not how things run. But, we know that they, the person that they were looking for,
it ended badly.
Things went bad. So for that to result in no consequences is a big ass slap in the face. Right.
I mean, for me, I think that if you were going to charge one officer with one thing, you should have charged them all with the same thing. How you indict one and don't indict the others when everybody did the same thing. They entered, they shot everybody. So because only one shot in the neighbors. So the neighbor is the only one, I guess, only one shot over there. But for the actual murder.
You're forgetting that their original report had no injuries in them.
Oh, really?
The original report they released had no injuries on there. Even though she was dead, they had no injuries on there. So it's very, very clear what direction they wanted to go in. Mm-hmm. Very, very clear.
Yeah. So,
even with that, even with the no injuries, so even if they wasn't going to charge him with murder, which murder is very, very, very hard to prosecute, right? So even if they wasn't going to charge him with murder,
manslaughter,
at the very least, y'all knew that she was injured and y'all didn't get her any medical attention. That's reckless.
Nope. Yeah.
That's intentional. That's knowingly. I mean, everything was met right there for that.
Yeah, and I heard like she was alive like 20 minutes after the injuries. You know what I mean? It's with all these things that have gone wrong. Just listen to some attorney friends of mine talking. It's like that it just lists all these possible charges. If not murder, here are all these lists of other charges. And for there not to be a single charge in her death, that's somebody who just didn't want to charge. He did not want to charge her. So Daniel Cameron, that's the name of this podcast district attorney. Things come back to people.
Now the city is on fire. I think 2 officers have been shot. I mean, it's going to get really, really bad.
That happened tonight?
Yes, 2 officers were shot downtown. The city is on fire. People are just setting fires all over the city. It's really
on
bad.
The news right now.
Yeah.
So, Michelle Thomas says, actually, no justice. This was my hometown, Louisville, Kentucky. It is based on a Commonwealth government. They set their own biased laws.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. All right.
Money is more important than Black lives.
Yeah, she also says that as well.
That's funny.
Buxton says, "Oh boy, is Uncle Tom."
Yeah, in cases like that, the civil part of it should always come last. They should never rule in any civil. Giving out money before prosecution.
We discussed that, and we're in a topic on here. I think last week or the week before. It's like, is it hush money? Like before the ruling came. So it's like we all knew what was going to happen. For one, with the civil, here's $12 million, runway, they did that. And then the beginning of this week, the governor of Kentucky calls a state of emergency. Like before the decision was made. For it. Oh, yeah, you're not calling a state of emergency for a celebration.
Right.
So you know what I mean? So
put up, clear the courthouse, all that. Yeah.
So I've been watching news because I've been on here with you knuckleheads. But I fully expected rioting. This doesn't solve anything. We all know that. But you can't push and push and push a people only so much before things explode. Right? So and another part of the frustration that the guy I was watching on TV earlier today was saying, he was like, the way that this is going to be portrayed is that these are Black Lives Matter people acting up. It's like the people who are like really protesting, marching with signs and registering voters and all that. It's like they're there in the daytime. They're there in the daytime and like 7, 8 o'clock they go home. And then the people who have no interest in anything but causing trouble. Many of them don't even live there. Then they come out, and then things pop off. But then people go to look at it and say, that's what Black Lives Matter, and try and minimize the entire movement, and like it has no purpose because all they're doing is rioting and looting. When in reality, the people who really want to do the work to make a change, they're at home sleep. They're watching CNN by this time. So. And man, I'm so tired of talking about this. Desiree, get your people together.
Right.
Get your people together.
One more question.
Go on.
Do you think something like this will happen again?
We'll probably wake up in the morning and there'll be something in the news like similar to it. Yes.
Look, like we've said,
accountability.
From George Floyd to Jacob Blake. I mean, every week is a new name, a new hashtag that we have to remember. Because
and those are only the ones that hit the media. It's not
exactly.
Stuff that's not in the news.
Exactly. Yeah. Think of the people who that we don't know about, right? Body cameras. That these people didn't even have on their body camera. Like they are just immune from anything. Like it doesn't matter. Like aren't you supposed to have on your body? It's not optional. It's not you turn it on when you want to. When you want to take a selfie or something, you're taking it. You should have to have it on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's We need you to be police chief. We need you to make some changes.
Aww.
We need you to, you know, I mean, you are the one good one.
Thank you.
I won't say they're good ones. You are the one apple. The rest of them are rotten apple. We anyway, talked how these things don't really change just by us, you know, marching, protesting, looting, rioting, whatever. It comes down to policy changes, right? And that is the boring work, the hard work that takes a lot longer. And so that kind of ties into the next subject, where this past Friday, you know, the notorious RBG, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, passed away at 87. She had been, you know, sick, cancer, in and out of the hospital all this time. And, you know, she's, you know, a champion for women's rights and voting rights and, you know, many progressive rights. And it is a real loss. And what, you know, one thing that's what we don't realize, what many people don't realize is the power of the judicial system. Now, we're not talking like the criminal court that we're all, you know, that we're all at least, you know, familiar with to a point. But like the federal court system and the Supreme Court and what have you, and the real impact that has. And what will happen is that you can elect your Senate and your House and your president, and they're all Democrats or what have you. But you can pass laws and sign them into law, but it can get appealed, move up, and then a federal judge strikes it down. So Republicans, you know, and it's really not until the Trump administration that they really started paying attention to the federal court system and really understand the impact of it. They have been focused like steady on the court system, stacking those courts with lifetime appointments of, you know, 40-year-old judges who are going to be on that bench for 40 years, striking on every. So what they've decided is that because the demographic trends are not in their favor, right? It's getting a blacker and browner society. Because it is not in their favor, we are going to just put our people in places to strike down things that you want to get done. And so we have a minority rule, basically. So it's something that we really have to educate ourselves on. And you know what? And here's the clearest example. And I'm not saying that Democrats should be like this, but because Republicans really understand the importance of the court system, that's why they deal with Donald Trump. If you look like before Trump won the nomination, look at the things that they said about him. The people like Lindsey Graham, all these people, everybody was, you know, he's the worst, he's a racist. All of them said that about him. But once they realized he was going to win, they got in line because they know we can deal with all that because he is going to put all these judges in place all over the place and we can get our things done. So that's why they don't say anything about it. That's why they tolerate him, because their focus isn't on him and his freaking tweets. Their focus is on that 41-year-old judge that's going to sit on that bench till he's 80 years old, and anything regarding voting rights or taxes or healthcare, they can strike that down. So
it'll be in line with their agenda.
Yeah. So I didn't even have a question on that. I was just talking.
I mean, the bottom line is we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're in trouble. That's it.
Yeah, unless we all get out there and vote.
Yeah.
That's what RBG says. She's the biggest supporter of going out there and vote.
Right. But you know what? So here's the thing. Voting is one thing, but so winning the presidency is obviously a must for this year. I cannot do another 4 years in this country on that. I will even move to Trinidad before.
Well, pack your bags, cause it ain't looking good.
I'll even listen to soca 24/7. No, but obviously the presidency is, you know, winning that is important, but also winning the Senate is important. Because here's what's going to have to happen. Because the Republicans basically stole 2 Supreme Court seats, so we're talking like a 6-3 majority in the courts. So, and these are, the 3 people that Trump put on, well, the one who he's going to put on, they're all like 50 years old, and they're going to be doing this for 30 something years. So what the Democrats are going to have to do, Democrats they're generally too nice, right? They're going to have to play like Republicans play. They're going to have to play and, like don't care. So they're going to have to add some seats to the Supreme Court, like those type of things, because we can't just, oh, woe is me, they did this thing, they went against their word. Okay, that's what they did. Now you have to, fight fire with fire. We're showing up to a gunfight, with a spark. You know what I mean? So we have to take this thing seriously. Anyway, with that said, as we continue,
Supreme Court judge be fired?
They can be impeached.
Impeached, yeah.
Like a president?
Yeah, they can be impeached. Yeah.
I don't remember what they mean.
I think it but they can be impeached. I don't think it has ever happened with a Supreme Court judge. It just happened with.
It never happened.
Yeah, it's happened with, but it can happen. Like, Kavanaugh, the one there, the last one that Trump put in. Yeah, people talk that he should be impeached, but we'll see. Still on this legislative front, Desiree, Crown Act. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Tell the people what it is and what happened this week, and why it matters to you.
Well, so where do we start? Because you just threw like 5 things at me.
No, just you want me to introduce it and then you talk about it? No, go on.
So the Crown
What
Act,
is the Crown Act and why does it matter?
The Crown Act is a bill that they are trying to get passed here in Texas and other states surrounding. That basically bans discrimination against natural hairstyles
like
that
this.
mostly affect African Americans, right?
Okay.
And so California was the first one to pass the bill. Last year in July, it was signed into law. And then New York and New Jersey soon followed after that. And then my cousin, DeAndre Arnold, which is not the first and he won't be the last, but it got national attention. And then it got the attention of the local legislation here. So we had Texas representatives say, man, we have to do something about this.
Tell DeAndre's story for those who
don't
watching who don't know what the story's about.
All right. So long story short, DeAndre Arnold, who's my cousin, was a senior last year, or this year rather, at Barbers Hill High School, a small little town in Mont Bellevue, right outside of Baytown. And he's been growing his dreadlocks for years, since he was in 6th grade, I think. And magically, they decided, hey, you need to cut your hair or you can't walk in graduation. As a matter of fact, we're going to suspend you until you cut your hair. You can't return back to school and we're not going to let you graduate with your class. And so it just kind of snowballed after that. We went on the news to tell his story, like, hey, this is not right. I should be able to graduate with my class. Why does it matter that I have locks? We put it up in a bun. We did everything to try to meet their criteria that they set forth, and it still wasn't good enough. So it got national attention. He went on to Ellen, and the right people got a hold of it and was like, we got to step in and do something. And so this week, as of yesterday, it passed in the House. The majority passed it and said, yes, we think that, the Crown Act is important and it needs to be passed and made into law here in Texas. And so now we're just waiting for the Senate. That's going to be the hard part, but that's who we need to sign it. And then it goes on for the president to sign it, and then it will go on into law.
So allow me to be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah.
But all right, so I'll say that this is why voting matters, right? Things like that, discriminating against someone because of their hairstyle, because they wear locks or they have an afro or cornrows or what have you, is nonsense. And so with so you mentioned, you said Texas, but this is national. So the Crown Act was passed in the United States House of Representatives, where that forbids discrimination based on hair style and texture. So with that said, great, it passed the House because it's a Democratic House. However, Republicans, they're not going to look at this, and they control the Senate. Correct. There are all kinds of things that have been passed. For dealing with the unemployed during the COVID. All these things are passed. They passed, probably dozens of bills that Mitch McConnell literally called himself the Grim Reaper, because that's where bills go to die. Right? They we have all these progressive causes and natural hair this and healthcare that and whatever, but then they go over there and they do nothing with it.
Right.
So that's why these things are important. Tex, what do you say?
It's a foregone conclusion that that's going to pass.
It's not going to pass.
It's not going to pass.
It's just going to sit there. Yeah,
it's just going to sit there. It's just very important that we go out there and do our due diligence, get the correct information, and go vote. I mean, and the other thing we've talked about on the show previously is career paths for our children and things like that. So we have all these kids growing up, and we don't point them in the direction of politics and things like that, and getting these jobs in the governments and these house seats and things like that. We actually really need to funnel our energy and knowledge and talents and build a future, ourselves. So, unfortunately, these seats, they're there for basically life, you might as well say. So, I mean, we just have to start from now.
Yeah. And so, why black hair matter to them so much? That's what I want to know.
I don't think it's black hair.
It is.
I don't know why dreadlocks.
It's black hairstyles. If he had an afro, if he had like a big afro, but it's like black. They have an issue with black hair. Why is that special?
They have an issue with anybody that don't conform or look like them.
No,
they want you to look like them and act like them.
Okay,
right. And if you're any different, if you're an individual, if you show characteristics that don't conform to what they believe that you should be doing, then they have a problem with it and they will stop it.
So you don't believe there's a racial element here?
Definitely. That's what
I'm saying. So that's why I said black hair. I mean, do the white boys with ponytails get the same fight?
Well,
probably not.
You know what? Let's take it further. The white boys with dreadlocks get the fight. No,
I mean that's like what, 1 out of 10 million white people.
but it happens. What I'm saying is the core of it is if you don't dress and act like they do, right? They're gonna make life very, very difficult for you, and it's a control issue. This is all about control. Right? If they can't control how you act, right? They're not going to live with you.
I think it's race and I think it's class, right? So and that ties into an issue that we covered here about the issue in Jamaica about the little girl with dreadlocks. I think she like in the 5th grade or 5 years, something like that, where she couldn't go to a certain school, a certain uptown school because of her dreadlocks. And again, as we said then, Jamaica isn't a racist country because it's 90-something% black, but it's a very classist country. And dreadlocks are kind of viewed as being of a certain class that they don't want at their uptown school. So I think that same mentality that we saw in that Jamaican school is the same mentality, the same mindset that translates to Barbers Hill here in the Houston area. So I think they have an issue with black hair, and people just, if you don't conform to their box of what black hair should be, It should be neatly cut or what have you.
Very
You
low
can have
cut,
locks or
if
cornrows
any
or
at
whatever.
all.
You know what I mean? What does that have to do with somebody learning? So eat that thing, man. So, hey,
Preconceived idea gives them the right to look at you and say, "Hey, you're scaring me because you don't look like me."
exactly. So again, why do they fear our locks? Like when I wear my locks, the amount of fight I get.
I think they see the skin color first before they see the hairstyle.
I mean, it all goes together.
Look, perception is reality. They see the locks.
Right.
They think about, Rasta, smoking weed and things like that. So instead of inquiring and asking about the origins of the hair or why do they have locks, they automatically add on a negative to it and just run with it. So it is what
Perception is everything. You're right, Tech. And it's not only just the locks. You have the
more than one, Tech.
The sagging pants, the tattoos, the beard. Grooming standards goes further than just locks. But over time in the professional field, the grooming standards have been lowered because when I first started off in the police field,
lowered or
it
changed?
has been lowered.
Lowered or changed?
More
Go
lax.
on.
Lowered and changed.
Right.
Initially, the guys couldn't wear beards. You couldn't have your earring in your ears. No visible tattoos. What else? No unnatural hair colors. That has since changed. Even in the military, all of that has changed.
So they have pink hair police now?
What happened?
So they have pink hair police?
I have seen an officer with pink hair.
Really? Okay.
I have seen an officer with pink hair.
Okay.
But the one thing that hasn't changed is locks and cornrows is still written in policy that is absolutely prohibited.
So what that you have on your head? It's not locks then?
No, these are braids, but when I go to work, I have to tie it up, and the agency that I work for is predominantly black, so this is acceptable.
Oh.
But the agency that I used to work for was definitely not acceptable.
Yeah, it's
just like that Sikh. It's just like that Sikh police that's allowed to wear his headdress like that. I mean, typically before
that's
it
cultural.
wasn't allowed.
Yeah,
What, the turbans?
Before. Yeah.
Mm.
But now you see it's commonplace. They're allowed to do it now. So she probably right. They're lowered. I don't know how low it's gonna go.
They're definitely lowering the standards.
It's again, I would use the word changed, altered, not lowered. Lowered make it seem like it's less than. Anyway, that's just a pet peeve. But moving on, Coach Prime. Now we get to the sports section of the show. Desiree, you know anything about sports?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, it's sports, but not really sports. So Deion Sanders, the all-time, in my estimation, if there's a better cornerback who played football, I don't know his name, but the all-time greatest cornerback, in my opinion, to ever play the game, was obviously NFL Hall of Famer. Was recently hired as the head coach of historically black university, Jackson State University, and which is a big deal. When you think about, so I was looking up some, because I know, like when I just came, I used to hear about a lot of players who went to HBCUs, but as of late, you don't really hear of them much anymore, and it all makes sense. So I was reading some article earlier, and it was saying that like in the 50s to 70s, when many schools just kind of just started allowing black players, many big schools like Texas A&M, Oklahoma just started allowing black players to come in. Before that, they had to go to HBCUs. So you had some really talented players who could not go to, the big predominantly white schools would not allow them. So they went to HBCUs. So HBCUs were dominant. They had like 30-something Hall of Famers who went to HBCUs. But as time changed and they start letting in more black players in the 80s, 90s, and so on and so forth, like the best talent didn't go to HBCUs anymore. Which it's unfortunate, but it happens. So with Deion Sanders with a big name like that, and there have been all kinds of rumors about what his full coaching staff is going to be, but these are all big name athletes that have been thrown about, which could really change the recruiting game, because you're any player going to college, you want to try and get to the pros, and if you can't have that connection, it will be a big deal. So with that said, do you think the hiring of Deion Sanders will change the game for Jackson State and for HBCUs in general? Tex.
Well, it will definitely change the landscape of recruiting for HBCUs. Number one, Deion Prime Time Sanders. I don't know if y'all, for those of us who are old enough to have seen him play and watch him throughout the years, Prime Time.
I've seen tapes. I wasn't that old. I've seen tapes.
You was at the games. Prime Time was a mantra. Okay, this dude lived for the flair, but not only did he live for the flair, he backed it up every Sunday. Every Sunday, night in, night out. He would talk noise and back it up. I don't know if people were privy to actually see the introduction of Deion to Jackson State.
No, that was prime time.
That was vintage prime time. Okay, he was escorted by the police. The Jackson State band played music while he was coming in.
I thought it was Obama coming in.
Exactly. He gave a speech, and we all know Prime is charismatic. I mean, he should be, after this, he should be actually a preacher. But what we really have to think about is athletes of this caliber never coach. Okay? Yeah. And you have to think about why he decided to coach. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when I listened to his interview or his speech, I could tell it was all about the kids, because Deion has enough money.
Yeah, it's not the money.
Yeah, it's not the money or anything like that. He's coached high school level his sons. His sons are all grown. He basically said his sons are grown. They're out the house. It was time for him to do something else. Mm-hmm. And one reporter asked, not asked, but basically said, if it's about the kids, Deion will be successful. But if it's about him, it'll fail miserably. And
I agree with that.
It is true.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't have been even a question, for the simple fact that we all know he's set. He doesn't need to do anything else. He has, analyst jobs, things like that. So to step into a role in the HBCU is big, especially in the climate that we're in right now, where the focus is on Black people, their rights, and things like that. So the recruitment classes are definitely going to take a shift and change, because I think more people are aware of the things that are going on right now, and will take a stand and say, you know what, instead of going to a Oklahoma or Alabama or things like that, let me go represent, for a HBCU.
Why would anybody want to go to Oklahoma? Yeah.
No, you make a really good point.
We know, UT.
Me and my son actually had a college conversation today, and he was like, "Mom, what about an all-Black school?" And we had never discussed that before. So yeah, there's definitely been a shift.
Yeah. So you mentioned that for somebody like Deion Sanders, a big name like that. So from a budgetary standpoint, the HBCUs, you can't compete with a Texas or Texas A&M or Oklahoma. Just from a budget standpoint, the athletic department at UT generates $200 million a year. Compared to Grambling's like $7 million a year. So for big name coaches who decide to do this, or former players, it will have to be about a greater purpose. It can't be for the money. You're not going there to make a killing. You're going there because you want to impact those kids, you want to change the game. So if we can get, enough people like that, it can have a big impact. So I don't. It's not feasible to me that you're going to have programs, be as dominant as, like Grambling was on Eddie Robinson, and it's not going to happen because the money dynamics are just the differentiation there is too great for that to really happen. But can he make a big impact at Jackson State and make some top 5-star players say, hey, I say you're a cornerback, coming out of some school in Tennessee or what have you. Yeah, you're going to look at Jackson State if you can play with Deion or play for Deion. So I think you'll have enough players who now actually consider it that wouldn't have before, and I think that's a great thing. And prime time. Deion is he's a big talker and backs it up, and he's a showman. So it's not literally about the money for him. But for somebody like that, he has tremendous pride. They are not going to do with losing.
Right. So somebody asked, with Deion being on his level, what are his expectations for his players? He basically said, I don't expect players to be Deion. I expect my players to be the best that they can be. And that's, that's all he wants. So, I mean, that speaks volumes on, what he's bringing to the table and the effect that he's going to have on these young men. So it's definitely going to change the game. So because a lot of these, Big Ten schools and things like that would normally get, say 7 out of the top, 10 recruits may only get 2. Yeah. And that can change the game, definitely.
Yeah, and another thing, the Jackson State games are going to have a lot more eyes on them than they did before. So for some players who may not have gone to Jackson State because I'm trying to go pro and I need scouts at the game, they're going to go to see what Deion has going on. So that's a big deal.
That's the main reason a lot of these kids go to these big schools is because of exposure.
Exposure, You're on TV every week.
They want to be seen on TV, exactly.
Yeah.
They want to be seen on TV. They want the scouts to come to the games. And with a big name like Deion, of course, the eyes are going to be on them. So,
especially, what's PV going to do?
Yeah. Me? I believe that Deion was sent there. I believe that Deion was sent there by God. I believe.
He said the same thing.
First of all, they just.
Yo, finish this speech now. I believe.
Did God strike it on earlier after you said God can't fix Corona? Is that what you said?
But let me tell you something. One thing, being one of the past SWAC student myself, I believe that we need the hype. And Deion is the kind of person that can bring the hype. And you know what comes behind hype? Funds. They're going to start investing in HBCUs. And that is what we need. We need somebody that can make our league so exciting that people will start looking and start investing. And I really believe that he can do this. I've seen what people have been saying about him. I've heard what he has to say about the league himself, what he thinks he can bring to the league, his confidence in all these students. I think he can do something. Even if it's just for a little bit. Even if just a minor contribution can be huge for SWAC. So that's what I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, you hit the nail on the head on what it's really about. With that hype comes money. It comes. It's Jackson State already has they have the highest attendance out of all HBCUs. Yeah. Right. So, Deion, traveling to Houston to play TSU or to play PV or what, people are going to go to that game. Right. And I think it will elevate the budgets. Football it's expensive to maintain a football program. But yeah, I think he will have a big impact in that way. And that's what it ultimately comes down to. If we can get more, and also when sometimes like particularly smaller schools, question the value of having a football program. The football is a very big recruiting tool for students to go to that school. I mean, when I was growing up in the 80s, I wanted to go to SMU strictly because of their football program. I love Craig James, Eric Dickerson. I wanted to go to school just for that purpose. So I think that especially kind of hit the nail on the head. With that hype and with that attention, you're going to have people, who want to go to that school. And with that, comes, you have increased interest in the school. I don't, let's say if the Biden and Kamala Harris win, then you have, more HBCU exposure. Kamala having been a graduate of Howard University, just more exposure. And, I think that is a good thing. So the more and more positive attention that we can bring to HBCUs, the better. So I think it's a great thing. I wish them all the best. I hope, all boats rise with the tide. As Jackson State goes, so goes the rest of the SWAC, so goes all HBCUs. There are 102 HBCUs in the country. I had no idea that there were that many. So, Coach Prime, we're wishing you all the best. Tarrus Riley, last subject. Tex, I see your favorite. So we'll start off with you. Tarrus Riley dropped a new album about a month ago. We're going to start off with the Lighter Challenge. Tex, sing the Lighter Challenge before we go into the segment. So, what do you think about the album, Tex?
Okay, I know you was going to ask that because I ain't singing nothing.
Lighter Challenge.
I give it 4 lighters.
Yeah, just off the jump?
Off the jump.
Based on what?
From the beginning to end, it's an album that you can just groove to and listen to. I love the production on each and every song, and he didn't stray too far from his comfort zone. Of course, the one song with Shenseea, what's the name of it again?
Sing it, sing it, Robin.
Sing it. What's the name of it again?
Lighter.
Exactly. Lighter.
Go on.
I mean,
now, how you go? I don't know how you go. Sing it. I'm here.
Singing it. So to me, that's probably the most popular song on the album.
It's not your favorite?
Global. Not my favorite. Well, I can say it is my favorite, but there's more important songs on the album. Let me look at this real quick and tell you so y'all can reference it and go back and see it.
4, that's a lot of lighters.
4?
How you mean? How much did you gave Buju? You gave Buju like a half a lighter?
2.5, something, sir.
Disrespect.
Hold on, let me find it. But go on, let somebody else talk. I'll come back.
Especially, have you listened to the album? Or what songs have you heard off it?
Of course, I've heard Lighter, and of course, one of my favorite artists, Conscience. They're on connect with Tarrus and that. And I wanted to hear the Dexter Dap. I haven't heard the Dexter Dap yet.
That's a bad song.
Is it?
A good song too.
Yeah, man, that's a bad song. Yeah.
So I mean, considering that he kind of dedicated this song towards the pandemic and being inside, and there's a lot of social distancing.
Which one?
With
the whole album?
Like, for example, no. Well, yeah.
Okay.
His focus was on, the whole pandemic and social distancing. It's a tribute to what kind of skill level we're dealing with when you decide to hear a Tarrus Riley album. We already knew he was very talented, but it takes special skill to actually have a topic and stay with the topic throughout the whole album, which is what is good about it. So,
I agree with that. Now, the song that I think affects us most during these times is the third track on the album, which is Healing.
Healing.
Healing. That's a timeless song, and that's a song that we'll actually go back and listen to and reflect on this time I'm doing the pandemic. So listen to it. No, listen to the lyrics. So
I will. I have not listened to the lyrics.
Get a chance to listen to that, and it'll definitely.
So you not feel like staying in a rubber dubbing with your woman, and that you try to say.
I always feel like though. Always a time for that.
Don't need Tarrus for that.
Yeah, so rude boy just a talk. He might make a big talk. So I mean, people can identify with what's going on with the album, and I tell everybody out there, get it. If it's just to listen through and support him for at least his attempt and his skill.
It's more than just a support to support. It's a good album. Police, what do you think?
Tarrus Riley is one of my absolute favorite artists.
Yeah,
really.
So yes.
Really?
How many stars can he get? Tech gave him 4. How many can I give him?
4
you know what? Lighter. We give lighters around here. Or we can do it on a scale of what we used to in school, and an A to F scale. So we can all, if you get a C, you never weren't really trying.
Okay, well, he gets an A for me.
A plus or just let me hear the album.
I love Tarrus Riley. He can't do no wrong in my eyes.
I think it's a very good album. It's I don't have a favorite song. I like Great Equalizer. I think that's a very good song. The Next Adapt song, bad. The Conscious song is all right. I prefer the Next Adapt song. The song with Shenseea, Lighter. I want them singing right now, but if you go to the I Am Soul Rebel on Instagram, you will see me. I killed the hook. Killed it. In a good way. Top nice text. I would say great singer. So with the singing is obviously great. The music, the production is great. I also think it has a nice variety. It's not just slow love songs and which is good, which is kind of his style. It has a variety. He had with 3 dancehall artists wrote the album. So it kind of spans that genre a little more. So I would give it I gave Budge 4.5 because I don't really give 5 unless I like an album from the very beginning to the end.
You said ABC.
ABC, I give him a B plus.
So an A basically.
B plus.
So an A basically.
A B plus. It's a good album. There
listen
are a couple
to
songs,
Healing, and you'll give him
a couple songs on there and could have left off, but it is a good album. I gave Budge an A. And I gave him a B plus.
He's doing more than most artists during this time, because it should have music falling like rain, and it ain't. So I give him credit just for that.
Well, the Jamaicans making music. I don't know what the Trinidad's doing, but the Jamaicans making music.
We ain't making.
Talk to your people. Talk to your people.
We making babies. We ain't making music.
Hey, carnival, ain't no carnival this year.
Actually, I heard
virtual carnival
for Trinidadians only. So
what you say now?
For carnival, they might have a carnival, but it will be in house.
They need to do a virtual.
They say that every year. Don't worry about that.
You think they're going to have it?
That's what I heard.
They say
you think they're going to have it?
I think
they're going to have it, Des?
I think they will.
They'll have carnival.
Regardless?
Regardless, yes.
So if people dead, they're just dead?
If nobody else could pull it off, Trinidad could pull it off. And
they'll have it. I have no doubt that they will have it.
And people will go.
I think it's going to be in-house. I don't think it's going to be anybody.
It's not time for that. That would be I've never been to Carnival, but from what I've seen, you can't social distance at Carnival.
That's all right.
Yes, that's a waste of everybody's time.
How you gonna Tifa wine?
Tifa virtual wine.
Right, wine and wine.
Yeah, man. But great album. B plus. I think that's good. It's a very good album. I wouldn't call it great. It's not an all-time classic, but it is a very good album. And it's good vibes music. You can't sit around the house and listen to that all day long. It's that kind of vibe. So Tarrus Riley, Healing. Check it out on all your platforms, on Spotify, Apple Music, and whatever else. So Tidal, them have it on there. Anyway, see, Des, it's 10:13. You thought we'll go to 11:30. We're Jamaicans are timely. That's what you have to understand about Jamaicans. When we say a certain time, that's what we mean.
Right. 4 o'clock fit. 4 o'clock.
Hey, that's not supposed to start before 4 o'clock. What are you talking about? Anyway, last comments. Look at more. Final thoughts. Officer Lioness, thank you for joining us tonight, sharing your insights from the inside.
Thank you for
about
always
policing.
having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So give us some words of wisdom.
My words of wisdom is always to love each other, love yourself in this time of need, love more, hate less, and please, please go vote. If you're not registered to vote, it's a simple, simple thing. Please register to vote.
Yep. Vote early, and that's the other thing. Vote early, because there are going to be, as we say in Jamaica, some hell of a lines to vote. Don't.
And on purpose. They hold up the lines on purpose.
Yes, they're shutting down polling places. Yes. It's another Republican plot. They want to make it as difficult as possible to vote. They want to frustrate the hell out of you so you don't vote. So, if you can, please vote early, as soon as you can. Don't wait till election day. Yep. Get that out of the way.
Tonight, for me, closing thoughts. Don't have any closing thoughts, but I want to give credit to some of the people that were online, giving us comments and things like that. So I'm going to shout some people out that hung with us all night. Let's see. Chris C., Danielle Harris, Nichelle Thomas.
Blah! Blah! How much lighter them get? How much lighter?
Leslie. 5 lighters. Leslie Christmas, Jojo.
Christmas. Oh Lord, we had 20 people on here tonight.
Yeah, big up yourself. Big up yourself.
Christmas is a popular name down there.
Kareem, K. Rich.
K. Rich, what did he say? What did he say anything that makes sense?
Of course he said something.
What did he say?
Hold on.
About Deion.
He said something about the HBCU. Hold on, let me get to that. He said basically about the HBCU. It already started on the basketball side. McCool Maker committed to Howard University, highest ranked player to be committed by HBCU.
Look at K. Rich, making some sense.
Okay.
It makes sense about one time. I will call Arnold and tell him Curry making sense tonight.
Sharnon Williams, big up. Let's see. Janelle, big up Janelle.
Yeah. Ask her if she's ready for the virtual carnival. I've been working on my Trini accent. How is it?
Horrible.
Terrible.
All right. Here's the question: what's better, my singing or my virtual or my Trini accent?
Your smile.
What's what?
What's better, my singing?
Your hairline.
Ain't no hairline. Anyway. Special final thoughts.
Well, crowd of people, if you want to really reinforce that Black Lives Matter, go out and vote, just like the cops say. Go out and vote.
Yes.
You rarely see Chris side with that Trini, but you know, but all of us is in consensus with this one, right? Go out and vote, and I mean, keep safe out there, people. There's a lot of powers out there trying to keep you down, but you have to have hope. Hope is all we have right now, and one of the ways we can actually turn hope into our favor is to vote.
Yeah.
Put your ex beside the. Wait, no, wrong country.
Yes, that's the wrong country. That is Jamaica. Put your ex beside the bell. Anyway.
What kind of Republican thought that, man?
Yeah, man. I second, third, and fourth, everybody's thoughts about voting. We have to lose this mindset that only thing that matters is the president. That is the head of one branch of the three in government. And if you don't control things in all three, you're not going to get things done. You're going to be frustrated. That's why a lot of people think that voting doesn't matter, because they think, I just vote for president. I like Obama, I like Clinton, I like Bush, and everything will be taken care of from there. No, you need to vote locally. You need to vote in every election, and understand how the thing works. And then, so we're living in some serious times, some very perilous times. There's a lot at stake here in this election, particularly. I really believe, they say this every year, but this is the most important election of our lifetime. As long as I've lived in the United States, I've never, ever thought that, you know what, I don't think I want to live here anymore, until these past 3.5 years, where I'm tired of a lot here. I'm just seeing a lot of things in this country, where we have to go in a different direction. So voting is really important. And with that said, I haven't confirmed this yet, but we're working on a voter registration event for next Saturday, October 3rd. October 5th is the last day to register to vote in Texas. And so we're working on an event. Location, I still have to talk to, confirm where it's going to be before I even say that. But, an event, we're going to, string up some sound, play some music, eat some food, drink some drinks, wine the vote, or whatever we want to call it. Pick up some name.
A car goat here on my yard.
Yes, like Jamaica, like JLP, PNP business. Get them curry goat and them vote.
Don't put your ex beside no bell. Don't listen to him.
Put your ex beside. Anyway, put the X beside the old man. Anyway, so details on that will be coming. So check out, Facebook.com/MySoulRebel, the Just Recent group. We'll put all the details on there. But we want to, within the Caribbean community, I'm doing a lot of work with a lot of organizations to do voter registration drives. We want to do something specifically for Caribbean people. It's very important. So the details of that will be coming, in the next day or two. So stay tuned. So everyone, thank you for tuning in tonight. Those of us, who hung with us the whole time, for engaging in the dialogue. That's very important. Share this information. Share it with your friends every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. For Just Reasoning. Look up the Just Reasoning group on Facebook. JustReasoning.com is where you'll find this episode and all the other past episodes about all the different topics. And also the My Soul Rebel, Facebook.com/MySoulRebel. And we want to represent your voice. So the things that you think that are important, we pick the topics that we think are important, but other things that you think we should be talking about that you want us to discuss. Let's discuss it online all week, and then we'll bring it up and talk about it on the show on Wednesday night. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Until next time, Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, Just Reasoning, JustReasoning.com, #JustReasoning. Big up yourself. One love. Peace.
Good night.
Good night.